Hello and welcome to the channel. I consider this a sacred space where together we can explore the depths of the soul, find meaning in the mundane, and embark on a transformative journey towards inner peace and enlightenment. The views and opinions of this channel, as well as any of my guests, reflect personal experiences and are only meant to give a new perspective to assist viewers in their own quest for answers. I ask that you engage, have fun, and above all else, be kind. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Eyes Wide Open. My name is Donna Schmidt. I'm your host, and today we have a very special guest, so I want to share a little something about her. So kind of stay tuned a bit while I pull it up. At 62, Bridge McIntyre had mastered self-loathing. Surviving a lonely and isolated childhood, she studied and practiced A Course in Miracles in her early 20s. She embraced metaphysics and her intuitive nature, but she struggled in life. As she continued her journey into adulthood, she brought with her a higher understanding of the nature of things and a great need for spiritual integration and healing, as well as the demands of raising her children. 13 months ago, Bridget's life catapulted into a new life, a new mind, a new body, triggered by a heroic dose of psilocybin and an 18-hour journey into alternative realities, or I should say alternate realities. Now she inspires others to walk a path of self-love and discovery. And today she's going to share her spiritual journey with us. So welcome, Bridge McIntyre.
Thank you, Donna.
You're so welcome. You look so beautiful.
Thank you.
This
is the new improved me.
Yes, awesome. So I have been really excited about today, about just what you're going to say. I know that I want to tell everybody that when I originally talked with you on the phone the first time and you were sharing your journey, I had to stop you because I said, we're doing a podcast right now. Let's stop and let's record this. So I know some of it, and I'm excited to hear all of it in its full potential and for you to share with others as well too, because your journey is it's different in the sense of how you chose and where you chose to walk that path. So kind of start us a little bit from the beginning, because you talked about, early life being very self-loathing. So can you start there and then kind of move up to where we are today?
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks. Well, I would say that the people who raised me up and just the type of life events I experienced through school, basically the world forgot to tell me I was lovable, that I was okay, that I was good enough. So my inner world was never kind or compassionate. I didn't even know what compassion was. I managed like a lot of people. I went on and acquired skills and an education and a career and had children out of wedlock and raised them all by myself. And got bigger and bigger and bigger until I was about a size 18 jeans, size 2X blouses, and just miserable, just absolutely miserable. I'd stopped dating men 25 years earlier, just given up on the whole notion of that. Whatever that was that I'd experienced was very unfulfilling, and I just could live without that. Well, that was a good choice to have made. I didn't understand yet that there were alternative options. I didn't know, because I'd not seen that in my earlier years, and I didn't watch even TV. So I really didn't, know much about love at all, except for the love of my children. So self-loathing, I having read the Course in Miracles, it shifts you. You can't go back once you've studied the Course and other momentous teachings of that nature. Yet I just had no control over my mind. And it got so bad that I went on medication for ADHD, because I had this compulsive, rotating, obsessive mind that just couldn't turn off. There was no peace. So I went on medication to control that. Also, in my being physically large, I picked up the need for a CPAP machine. I couldn't breathe at night. I really couldn't breathe, period. I couldn't breathe through my nose. I was a mouth breather. I never had enough oxygen. What else? Oh, high blood pressure and diabetes too. So I knew that if I didn't turn the ship, I was really going to be in trouble. So,
you were a metabolic mess.
A mess. And I'm still challenged metabolically. I mean, it's only been 12 months. But I think what's interesting to note at this point is that the body changed in 3 months. I did not go on a diet. I wasn't who I was before the event, the journey. So I looked at food. Well, I had been guided during the psilocybin journey about diet and nutrition, and that I needed green liquids, liquid greens. And that's not necessarily for everybody. That was just for me, information for me. And so my new life, just everything about it was different. And it took 3 months to just melt. My hair was white and short. My hair is growing exponentially and it's getting darker. I don't wear my glasses like I used to because I know the script has changed. Like I can see better without them sometimes. I don't have high blood pressure. I am not a diabetic. And I learned how to, well, I discovered soon after that I could breathe through my nose all the time and get plenty of oxygen in my brain. So that was exciting.
So what led you to trying the psilocybin?
Well, my daughter provided me with the mushrooms, and they'd sat in my freezer for 7 months. And every time I opened the freezer, I saw them in the baggie and went, oh yeah, maybe someday. So the night before, I opened up my freezer and I saw them, and I was just overcome with a desire to do them. And I thought, well, tomorrow I have the day off, and the day after I have the day off. So, okay. Now, did I go to Google to research how much or how little, what the quantity, what to expect? I didn't do anything. I went in blind, and I took a heroic dose times 5. I mean, I'm not even going to divulge how much I took, but I would not recommend for anybody to do what I did, although mushrooms don't kill you. But it basically just burned away that life. And for 18 hours, I experienced constant Akashic record downloads. I could see them. I was in a grid the whole time. I was in a grid with information just coming down, kind of like in the Matrix when he's sitting in front of the computer and he's looking at all those green, all that information. Well, it was all coming before me, and some of it I understood right away, and a lot of it I didn't. But the voices or the beings that I was fully aware of and could see, they'd say, it doesn't matter right now, but you are receiving what you're seeing. So just, let that be. So that was just ongoing throughout the journey. When I took the psilocybin, I just, I don't know, I had no plans. So I don't know why I lit candles. I don't know why I meditated. I had never meditated before. I don't know why I set an intention. These are just things that came to me to do before I proceeded. And so I did set an intention. I was very prayerful, very sincere. And I was told to lie down north to south, head to foot, north, south. So I had to download a compass on my phone to figure that out. And they said, do that in the living room, close those blinds. Now I've always felt guidance, but not like this. Like I look back and go, holy cow, they were just directing me. It's just like, okay, we're going to do it today. Yay. And this is what you need to do to make it nice for yourself. I had water stations throughout the house. I was guided to do that. I was told to make up some white rice, so that if I felt like eating, I could put down a little bit of white rice. So I did that and turned on some pretty music that lasted about an hour and a half, of which I don't remember any of it. And the amount that I took 35 minutes to eat, to ingest. I took a lot. And so right away,
I take it they didn't tell you how much to eat. I take it they didn't tell you that part.
No, they knew me. I'm an all or nothing kind of gal. So, so a black jaguar appears in my living room and bows to me.
Wow.
And I bowed. I was sitting on the ground. I couldn't stand anyway. I bowed back to her, and she welcomed me and said, I am here for you always. And then one after another of beautiful beings appeared and bowed, and I bowed, and they all introduced themselves. Beings that I was unaware of, the dryads. I didn't know what dryads were. Those are tree spirits. Mm-hmm. And the dryads were there. And there were ancient Egyptian beings that we might call outer dimensionals, and there were outer dimensionals, and there were many animal clans. The bear, the hummingbird, and the wolf clans appeared and told me how I could and would incorporate them into my life. So I was in awe. I was just in awe, and I just kept bowing and just receiving the love that I was. And I have had people say, with all due respect, Bridge, that was all happening on the astral, and that was all just spirit playing. And I say, you know what? It's the fruit of something that ultimately matters more than anything. I know I felt safe and loved. I felt a level of respect and compassion I had never experienced in my life. And I was shown how to turn what I was experiencing with them inward, and to have that be something that I developed within myself for myself. Yes. So I didn't know it was 18 hours. You kind of lose track of time. But there was so much information that when it was all complete, I just wrote everything I possibly could down, wrote it all down, and went, holy cow. I'm still not quite knowing what it meant. What had this incredible, because nobody had ever told me about an experience like this before. They'd say, oh yeah, the trees are going to be colorful and wavy. You'll see auras around plants, things might twinkle. You might see, no, I was hanging out with a group called the 26. They were a collective of ancients who came in and just like said, look, girl, this is what you have to do with the body. And they just told me how it was going to be. And I just decided afterwards, why not do exactly what they said? Why not? It was really very simple. Eat real food, make sure a lot of it's super grained, and drink food, and eat less. Eat when you're hungry. Like from now on, you're going to feel what you feel. From now on, you're going to discover what it's like to be a feeling being, because it's in your emotions where your healing will occur and where your power lies. There's power in the higher emotions, desire, for example, gratitude, for example. Compassion. So I was shown that, guess what? You're going to experience the gamut from first, second, third chakra on up. You're going to go through it all, because you don't remember any of this. It's time to remember.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, it's like I'm sensing that there, which is true, is it's like the human side and then the spiritual aspect, and what was happening in the human side was also opening up in the spiritual side as well too. So it's this 1 foot over here and 1 foot over here, and what you're describing to me is very similar to what I hear from clients or from other people in groups when we have an opportunity to study something that's spiritual, either through a ceremony or something ceremonial, and that makes such an extreme change within them that it's like they've opened up and seen something and felt something, because you're right, the sensory experience is really what shifts everything. And then I hear how do I go back and be human? How do I go back to my everyday life? How do I tell my husband this? How do I tell my partner? I mean, did you experience any of that when you woke up, so to speak, both as a human
That
waking
is
up?
that is such an important question to ask, because I think in a way that is and will be forevermore the core of my teachings now, is that, yeah, you're raising kids, you have a job, you work for a guy you don't like right now, where's the integration going to happen, and how are you going to own and keep this and grow it if your partner can't relate to what you're doing, or your kids are driving you bananas, or you're just on the go, 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 go all the time? So this is what I'm coming up with. What I discovered after the journey was that I knew nothing about self-love and self-compassion, and these were the game changer. So I embarked on that journey, my style, my unique self-created journey. And I would say everyone has a unique self-created journey to discover, to self-love and self-compassion, and what a game changer that is to your relationships. I mean, first and foremost, to yourself, and then to the world around you, including perhaps your employment, including perhaps where you live. I mean, everything begins to spin out from a core locked into that you matter, and that you're listening, and you're going to be your own best friend. You're going to be your own best advocate. You're going to be integrity with yourself all the time. And when you blow it, and you will, you are going to put your hands on your chest, look yourself in the eyes in the mirror, which is something I'd never done. And now I do it daily, and just breathe into your heart and offer yourself some slack the way you would for a friend. I had been a pretty good friend until I gave up on all that, because I just didn't have anything left. I'd run out of juice, because I was living life from the outside in, and taking care of my emotional body through food and TV, just shut it down, shut it down. So once I started connecting with myself, everything changed. My kids said, "What did you do with our mother? Like, where is she?" And
I've heard that
a friendship of a friendship of 25 years took bloom again, and she became and is my rock. Like, she was what I called my living journal through all the discoveries that I made and the stages and everything that happened. She heard it all, because I couldn't write it all down. It's just massive amount of stuff. I chose not to. So when I went back into the world and people knew who I had been once, well, for initially, you couldn't visually see any changes. I was still heavy and short hair and unhealthy looking. And so those people, I felt compassion for them. I felt like my role with them had changed. I no longer had to please or prove or explain or fake it. My role here is to be the love that I am growing inside myself. And so I shifted how I related to everybody. And then the world shifted with me. Going to the grocery store was a hoot. It was a hoot because dogs would leave their owners, babies would, "I want her." And women would approach me and just start talking to me about whatever. And men looked, but they didn't know what to do. But I could tell that I was being received in the world differently. That because people ignore fat people. Fat people are, especially fat older people, real easy to just not see them. They become invisible. We become invisible. Then as I began to change physically, it became even more apparent that how different the world was going to receive me and perceive me. but my role never changed. My role is to be love. My role is to be kind and be compassionate and remain open, very open. And I've had lessons in discernment. I've had lessons in protection. There's, little bumps along the way. You can't just be blind. You need to learn. I needed to mature. That's what I'm going to say. I needed to mature in that because in some ways I was just very naive, and just, but no, I even had, entities removed from my body. Like I was like, oh, I see you. Hello, I love you. And then there they are in my field until a healer said, no, I don't think, do we really want that there? Like, no, of course not. So discernment has come. But what I did right after, within a week, is I announced to my friend of many years, I'm going to embark on a journey to discover what self-love is. And the only love I knew was the love of my children. So that's where I started. I remember how I felt when they cried. I remember how I felt open and curious when they had something to share with me. So I just did that. But the way that I love myself evolved very quickly. And that was delightful. Like I didn't have to try it. It was like I was no longer swimming against the current. I was now in a flow, and the flow was love, and I was love, and love was going to show me the way, and it was going to be okay. I discovered meditation. I began to meditate a lot. Now I'm an all or nothing. So I would meditate at 4 a.m. and I would meditate at 4 p.m. I'd meditate at 6 a.m. I'd meditate at noon. I'd meditate at 3. I mean, I was really serious. And the more I meditated, the more the puzzle pieces started to really cohere. And I really got what I'd heard, through Gaia TV and other teachers, the mind-heart coherence. That became very real to me. And now when I'm out of coherence, I can barely tolerate it for a minute. So I expect to be in coherence all the time. So that requires for me meditation to keep myself in sync. Also, I screen who I spend my time with, and I do expose myself to a little TV, but not much, and it's not the news. Like I don't listen to PBS anymore. And sorry, NPR, like I've left the world in a sense. I'm spending way more time with trees than I am with the news and what's going on out there. Yet I was guided to purchase a very large world map and get that up above my altar. I had never had an altar before. I created my first altar. I have a world map, and I am guided to understand that what I project as an alchemist, as a healer, as a being of love out to the world actually has effect. And I don't have to understand or know what that effect is, but it is something that I do every day. Yeah.
I can relate to that. Totally.
Yeah.
Do you do anything with the ley lines on the earth at all?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Why do you ask that?
Because it's like you're singing my song, honey.
Uh-huh.
Singing my song. Yeah. Because I talk with people, I have several groups that I work in, and a lot of times they are watching NPR or CBS or ABC or all that, and it's affecting them, what's going on in the world, and so they feel helpless because of what's happening. And my comment is, well, there's nothing that I can do. I mean, I could get on an airplane, I suppose, and then go to these places, but what am I going to do there? But I do know that if I focus on these areas and ask for healing in whatever form that may be, because I don't decide what it is or how it should be, I just focus my intention there and my energy there, and then I don't know, a couple of days later I'll hear of something and I'll think to myself, oh, something shifted, that's good. I don't know if it was
Yes.
me, might have been me and a
Right.
conglomeration of consciousness beings that I connect with, whether
Yes.
that be in the spiritual realm or maybe on the earthly plane, that all got the same message, and we collided together and brought that into that area. And so that, to me, I know is working.
Yes.
So that feels good. As far as the ley lines
It
go, I
does.
was instructed to actually put it in the ley lines because it travels all over. And by the way,
Okay.
we are part of those ley lines as well.
Mhm.
So it affects every other person, or every person on the planet as well too, and out into the galaxy as well. So it does make an effect. It does.
Mhm.
Just because we can't see it with
Beautiful.
our physical eyes doesn't mean that it's
Right.
not happening. Um, I
Right.
am, by
And
the way.
as yeah. Well, as healers,
Yeah,
anybody who heals knows it's not them, and
right.
we can't be attached to outcome.
No,
But we are to channel these good energies. We are
yeah.
to let them funnel through us and move through us and express
Yeah.
through us. So
Yeah, you said something
it's
earlier
important.
when you were preparing to do this journey. You said you had set an intention, and that's a big thing in the groups that I work in, is setting the intention first. Because if the intention is not clear, then you're not clear, and then the outcome could be a little skewed because of it. So intention is really, really important. And the piece of, not actually, like I said, directing it to do a specific thing, but just asking for the energy just to be there, to do it best for everyone, for the
Right.
highest and greatest good of everyone
Right.
concerned.
Right.
You
Which
mentioned
is also
earlier.
that's also the key to like manifestation. You don't want
Yes.
to name it and be specific. You need to be very wide open about what your
Mhm.
request is,
Yeah.
so that it
Yeah.
can come to you in the most bestest, biggest way possible.
Right.
Same with earth energies.
Right. I always say this or something better, because if you can bring me something even better than what I thought, that's even better. That's great.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier, that you were heavier, and you did send me some pictures which were just like, wow. I mean, I knew it was you, not like those ads, the weight loss ads that are
Yeah.
marketed, where it's like, oh, that doesn't look like her. But it did. I saw you, and it's like, wow, that is a big transformation. I'm going to post those throughout the video
Okay.
as well too, so that people can
Great.
get an opportunity to see that. And
Good.
then you also, God, you talked about so many different things, and I know it's only been 18 months, but also the psilocybin, I just want everyone to know, in case they don't, is mushrooms, and these
Yes.
mushrooms, when ingested, do uh, cause, or what they're known for is, you have the reaction to it is, it's a hallucinogenic, except that, I don't know if that person that you were speaking to that told you it was just, wasn't anything that you thought, but you didn't describe to me something that was hallucinogenic. You described to me almost like a near death experience. It's and not that you
Yes.
were near death, but to be in that realm and to experience what you experienced is not
Yes.
really, that's not hallucinogenic. I mean, this
Donna,
was.
I'm really glad you said that. No one's ever said that to me, but
Oh,
you're spot on,
yeah.
because I have done mushrooms a few times since then, and not at that quantity. And yes, I have seen the auras and the plants and things talk that don't usually talk, or we think don't. But this was not that at all, not even close, not even remotely close. I entered realms. Um, I was shown the new earth. I was told I
Oh,
am the new earth.
do
We
tell.
are
Let's talk
the
about
new earth.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
because that's a big thing now, especially with people that are reaching outside of themselves. Because let's face it, things are so chaotic here energetically. But what I try to tell people, I don't mean to take the limelight away from you, but what
no,
I
go ahead.
try to tell people is that it's like we're like turned inside out, and that's kind of what for you, kind of what you're describing to me in a way, is like, this was the outside shell, and you just reached in and pulled the essence of who you are, and pulled that out. And so now this is me now, not that. This is me. And you've kind of cracked open the eggshell kind of, and come through, or shed your snake skin almost kind of thing, and this is the real me. But people sometimes will keep reaching out, like, I'm not happy, this is happening, why are these people getting things and I'm not getting things? And it's like we're still so stuck in our physical eyes and our physical ears and our physical senses, when it really is like, it's to be hypersensitive, to feel outside of that, to experience that in a whole new perspective, is what they're searching for, not
Yes.
a different job or a different spouse, different partner, different, this. I mean, it is going within, and that's the big thing. Because spirituality, you said something too, is like, you can't go back. Once you crack open that eggshell, I'll say, you can't go back. I mean, you could try to sleep through this again, but it's just not the same. It's not the same. You have to just keep going forward. And if you have that desire, that inner urge to, like, there's something more, and I want to experience what that more is. I want to know where I came from. I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing here. I want to know, is this all there is? Those are the questions people begin to ask when they're at that threshold, and they're ready to crack it open, crack the door open. And it's like something happens and they just step back. It's easier to step back because you're talking about those sensations, those feelings are so strong that it's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm afraid. And so I'll just step back into the knowing of what I do know, even though those are based on beliefs, that none of this is real. When you talk about it, it's not real. But walking through that threshold is real. And then you experience the totality of what is here on this third plane. But I want to hear some more about the new earth.
Well, everything you said, yes, and yes, absolutely yes. It's an inside job.
I'm channeling right now, but go ahead.
I mean, we've all heard the saying, you are what you eat. So watch what you feed your brain and who you allow to feed your brain, and remove those beings and the sources that are not into good mental hygiene. Yes. Period. Even if it's a partner, find a way to love yourself enough that you have enough extra love, more love to channel towards someone who you're committed to, even if they're not understanding what's happening with you. But so what happened during the month 3, 4, and 5 was a whole lot of crying. And I don't mean just, I mean, weeping grief, deep grief from who knows. Some of it had storyline. Some of it was visual. This is through meditation. Some of it was just, oh my God, here it comes again, and just let her rip. And I'd lay on the floor. I'd lay on the floor and just weep until I didn't need to anymore. I didn't need to know what it was. Sometimes when there was a storyline, it was like, oh, well, that's interesting. What came up for me many, many times was being a warrior and dying in battle. And so I would physically reenact those deaths of what it was like that last stab, through the chest, through being gutted. I mean, it was very visual, and the sensation of leaving the body at that time, and the sensation of, as leaving the body, looking in the eye of the one who had facilitated my leaving, and realizing we had made an agreement for this moment, like all kinds of things. And it was like watching a movie. One particular meditation, I'm sitting with a guided meditation. I have a tape and someone talking in my head, and I'm just following along. All of a sudden there's this young man in front of me, and he says, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I died. You need to know I died. And I went, and I remembered this life where he'd just gone off to hunt and he never came home. And I spent that short life grieving. All I did was grieve the loss of him. And I never moved past that. And so here was he, I recognized, I saw this little story, and it served me in that moment. Like, well, okay, thank you. I understand now. But that little connection triggered a deep, deep, deep grief of what it means to be abandoned. And I really I gave myself permission, and it hurt. I mean, it was scary stuff for a while until it wasn't, to feel grief like that, of being abandoned, like lifetime after lifetime, or being born. Think about it. You're with your crew, your team, right? And then you're all of a sudden in this baby body that can't express itself well, and you appear to be alone for the most part. I mean, if that's not abandonment, in some level, an emotional human. So I really processed the abandonment issues, and I've realized now, sharing with people, that a lot of folks have abandonment issues. And what's happened now is I've changed my whole perspective on that storyline. Had my parents paid attention to me, I wouldn't be who I am. I developed myself. I climbed in trees and studied insects and paid attention to animals, and you know what I mean? Like, I grew myself because I wasn't being watched and I wasn't being cared for. But had it been any different, I wouldn't have had perhaps this level of independent thought, being so creative, whatever. Bottom line, it's all stories. It's just here. If it serves you, great. If it doesn't, great. It's all going to go away anyway. All of it. These bodies are so temporal, so anytime, like, okay, let's take watching the news and feeding yourself one tiny slice of a little bit of information about something that's taking place in the world. It's not complete, right? And it is one-sided. Okay, number one, really, I would encourage people to question their need to do that. For me, it was habit. For me, it was something to keep my mind busy so I didn't have to pay attention to myself. When you eliminate the news, if you can, you still get the news. You're going to hear it from your friends. You're going to hear, when you're online, you're going to see little bits. But keep in mind, we're not being fed the whole picture anyway. And keep in mind, this is a planet birthing itself into a new frequency. So a lot, birth is messy, and so we're in the mess. Stuff's living and dying and falling away. And I think the next year or two are going to be very intense. That's my sense. And the more self-care and self-love, the more we nurture ourselves, look ourselves in the eyes every day and go, hi, how are you? What do I need today? What's in the most important thing? Asking myself questions like, what's the most important thing for me to do today? Because I was type A doer. So I'd ask myself that. It would be like, well, just focus on self-love. So when a old habitual thought would arise, and they did, I'd been trained by Dr. Joe Dispenza to just address the egoic thought with the word change. Kind of like you would correct a dog that you love, a puppy you're training. You'd say down or no or sit or, so change. I said change all the time. And when I said change to a thought about, well, like maybe an unloving thought about how my body was changing. Because when you lose a lot of weight fast, not everybody gets the memo all at the same time.
That's a nice way of saying it.
And so the thought would want to go this way, and my brain would go change, and then there'd be no thought. And no thought, like in meditation, if you practice meditating, is a beautiful, beautiful place to be. really. Um, so I'm a thinking by nature person. I'm Aquarian and I am a thinker, but I don't have a mind that's out of control anymore. And silence and non-thinking is essential, essential in this new life.
Yeah. 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 Good. So now, coming back from such an experience, um, did you notice or have you noticed you have any extrasensory perceptions? Like, like maybe even the clairs, like clairvoyant, clair audio. I know you talked about sense, so clairsentience, but have you noticed anything else, even like channeling or mediumship, anything like that?
All of the above.
Yeah.
Because I spent 2 months focused on the pituitary and clearing it of the gunk. And I learned through, again, another meditation by Dr. Joe Dispenza, how to actually sit and inhabit my consciousness in the chamber of the crystals in the pituitary and learn how to project and receive. And I still do those kinds of meditations and do. But when I close my eye, there are times when I can actually still see the room. Not in memory, but I can move around and I can watch the people in the room and see what they're up to.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when I close my eye and I'm just paying attention to the third eye, I'm in a realm that I don't understand yet because I'm seeing color I've never seen before, and I'm viewing things that I don't understand yet. So I'm spending time doing that every day too, because it's fascinating. I'll close my eyes and go, what is this? Is it energy? Is it a place? Is it I don't know. I just know I need to do it. And it's super amazing. And my sweetheart and I do have a brand new sweetheart. He and I play telepathic games with each other after meditation where, color or animal, just to practice tuning in to the telepathy. But we're finding the closer we become, it just gets super easy and natural. And I find with people I don't know are the ones I can pick up the most from. I pick up a lot of information from people I don't know. So I have fun in the grocery store. Like, oh, they drive a white truck and they're dealing with a health issue and they've been divorced and they don't talk to their kids and whatever.
Yeah.
And then sometimes for fun, I'll approach people to just kind of test myself. What color is I got a weird question for you. What color is your car? I don't know. Yeah. All the clairs are there, and I had to assign who I call the 3 Ps. And there are 3 Pleiadians who are with me all the time now. And I was being bombarded by so much all the time. And again, learning discernment and maturing. I asked them to please help screen this because it was getting confusing, really confusing.
Yeah.
Well,
you're still in physical form, so it can be really intense. I know sometimes if I'm doing a so-called reading, a session with someone, sometimes the information is coming so quickly and so fast.
Yes.
One, I cannot write it. I thought, I'll write it because otherwise I'll forget it. I'll write it, but it comes so fast, I cannot write that fast. And so I'll ask them, you've got to slow down. Slow down. Just give me the bullet points here. This is too much information. Too quickly. Yeah. And it can, even when I'm done, it sometimes can be exhausting because I focus so much and put all my attention there. Yeah, I get that. So when
I don't know about, like psychics often, or people with the clairs talk about getting drained getting drained. I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I wonder why I don't feel that. I mean, every morning, like before I get out of bed, I have new routines, to do. So there's always not even affirmations, just prayerful may I's. May today be, may I, blah, may we, blah, blah, blah. And then protection all around, and the healing. I really love the violet flame, the violet energy, which I had never been aware of until after my journey in January. Of its existence. I had never been to Shasta. I didn't know about Saint Germain. I went to Shasta by myself and sat up there and meditated for a few hours and met Lemurians. Like, I can do this.
Yeah.
This is real. This is as real as talking to my neighbor, But the 5D, or the frequency shift that's occurring now, I feel like everybody's feeling it in some way, shape, or form. Whether they're more stressed out than ever, that could be how they feel it.
Yeah.
It's happening. So I'm just diving in. I want to just be all I can be for that. And so I've had a large following on Facebook. It's shifting now. I'm being guided to write some I want them to be short, fun, helpful, inspirational books.
Yeah.
Because
when you were talking earlier, I wrote down, it sounds like a book. It sounds like a book in the making here.
Well, I know we're all busy and not everybody has time to read. And I've observed on Facebook that when I do a reel, which is a minute and a half, that's all you get.
Yeah.
And like 3,000 of my followers will view it and like it or make comments. And then in the public, because it also posts publicly, there'll be 10 or 20,000 people who have looked at it. And I'll go, I think I need to write books, because I can't play on Facebook all day. I can't do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a rabbit.
I don't want to do that. Yeah. I don't want to do that. And then, then there's a fun story, well, how'd you find love at 62 and he's 72? Well, now I'm 63. But, I dated like crazy when I got all skinny, and I realized very quickly that men couldn't see who I was. They had no idea who was sitting with them. And I decided right then, oh no, I need to be with someone who can see me. I'm amazing. And that person has to know they're amazing and why they're amazing, as being God beings, as parts of the Christhood, as light beings, light bearers, So that eliminated a whole bunch of guys super fast who all claimed to be spiritual and meditators and this, that, and the other. And it was like, oh, pooey. So come late July, my astrologer friend says, everything's going into retrograde. Everything. This is not a good time to be looking for a mate. And I went, yeah, I'm kind of burnt anyway. And I put on a few pounds from eating out all the time. So I thought, okay, I'll just shut the door on that until, the fall or winter or something. So as I'm slowly shutting the door, this man comes in on Facebook in a message that says, hi, he says his name. I'd like to know if you'd go out to coffee or dinner or a walk with me. And my whole body went, yes. Exclamation point. And not that I thought anything further than that. It's just that it felt like an open door, a breath of fresh air. That would be a lovely thing to do. Well, come the day we're going to do it, I'm sick. And so I call him and say, I'm not feeling up to par today. We need to reschedule. And he says, oh, I understand. Okay. So then I call my best friend of many years, and she goes, oh, no. You call him back right now. Do you have food in your refrigerator? And I said, yeah. She goes, you're going to invite him over and you're going to feed him out of your fridge, and you need to meet him today. And I trust this woman implicitly. She's not usually this bossy either. So I called him back and said, you want to come over? And he said, sure. And the moment we hugged at the end of a 6-hour visit, that hug, we both knew, So that was 7 months ago. And I notice the feedback when I share things on Facebook is people all want that. Everyone wants to be loved and to love and to have it be exceptional, to have it be magical, and to have it be what they dream it could be. And there's no reason why it can't be. It's the only limit. The only limits are what we place on it. And the only way you're going to get to what those limits are and, unplug from the ones that no longer serve is to get to know yourself, is to spend time with yourself, is to get still, get quiet. What do I need today? What do I want? If we don't start having deeper relationships with ourselves, this change that's taking place, it's just going to be more challenging.
Well, you have to change your own frequency so that you vibrate to match what it is that you want. And then, like you were talking earlier, that's part of the manifestation process too. You have to vibrate to what you want. So if there's any piece of you or part of you that if you're saying, I want a green apple today, and then all the red apples show up, well, you're not vibrating for the green one. It's letting you know that's what's showing up. You're not vibrating to that. And so then you go in and ask yourself, what do I need to change? What do I need to look at so that I'm vibrating green apples, kind of thing, changing your.
Exactly. It's true. And also in reverse, sort of like I ask all the time for higher mind, God. I'm comfortable with the word God, to give me a sign today. That I leave from a direction I least expect, that shows me, confirms that number one, we have a connection and I am communicating and communing with you. And number two, that I'm on the right path, that I'm on the best path. And almost every day there is a synchronistic event or a sign or a message in some way, shape or form, big, little. I'm always looking for them. So they're there. They're just there. And that shows me that I am in alignment or that I'm not in alignment, so it's all good.
So it sounds as if you're still in that transitional stage of learning more about yourself, really, and who you are. And maybe it hasn't, you've got little glimpses of what you came here to do. I know you mentioned early on that we do all plan our time here, so there is a contractual piece of that. But have you seen anything in the future, either near future or whatever the future is, because it's all now, but
it's all now.
It's all now.
So it is now. That's a future now. A future now.
There you go.
Now.
How you're going to present this, and how, because I can't see you just holding all this stuff. It's all mine. Look what I did. It's all mine. Because I know you were given this. And by the way, I'm sure you probably already know this, but let everybody else know that you contracted to do this. I mean, you picked those parents so that you would learn self-loathing and know what it was like, because then you can tell the difference between that and loving yourself and having self-love. So you chose this. Now, what is the next piece that you chose? I know we all open up and evolve. So have you kind of got a glimpse of that, of what that looks like as a healer, as a teacher? I see you more as a teacher than I do as I mean, teaching is healing as well too, but you're more of a master teacher. I think I'll be bold and say that you've come from the master realm, especially when you start talking about these 26 ancients that you conversed with. Obviously, to me, you're in alignment with that. So here with that, what are you going to do with it? I'm curious to know
what I'm going to be when I grow up.
Yes. Thanks for helping me with that.
Somewhere between 65 and 66 of age, I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to know my name. And that's not important. What is important is that I am saying something in a way that people hear it, it resonates, and it's useful. So I love to write, and I love to climb on mountaintops alone with dogs for hours at a time. So a part of me wants to go be the monk and just be enlightened me alone. Well, my guy can come too. And a part of me goes, no, you're going to just keep and keep writing and keep doing podcasts and just trust. I'm in a body in transition. I mean, it's only been 13 months. And so there's things going on in my body. Now, my partner is a healer. He's an energy healer and he's quite the energy healer. And so we're working on it. But, in this body right now, there's pain. And it's not stopping me from going to the mountaintop often with the dog, but I've got to feel better than this. And so it's just integrative time. Like you said, I'm just integrating and there's something to come, and it's just in a few years. And then once that's come and gone, that was my contract. And then I can just play, and then I can just be with my guy, and we're going to live to be very, very old and see a lot of this change through as elders. Yeah. So, family I don't have much family. I have my 2 kids basically. So, and they both love what mom's doing, but they both look at me sideways now. Like, how it is with family.
Yes.
Like I'm getting along. Sorry, Sam, I'm going to say it. My daughter, Sam, I'm getting along with her friends better than I am with her these days.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
this is so interesting because my message is love and my daughter and I aren't talking. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Yes. Yes.
But my partner, he had been shown by his guides that that the woman he's meant to be with, his life love, was soon to show, and he was waiting and dating and waiting and he finally just put his foot down, and in meditation he demanded and put a deadline. I have to meet her by this date, because he was going out of town. He wanted to meet me before he went out of town.
Yes.
So we met 5 days before he went out of town. Not bad. And we fit like I didn't know. There's just so much I didn't know about what it means to be in a harmonious relationship where there's, flow and peace and kindness and generosity and all that good stuff and passion. And, it's never too late. He's 72. It's never too late. Never.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking my first little book might be about self-love and love.
Yeah.
Attracting love.
Yeah. You're right. Everybody wants that. What's the divorce rate? 50% now?
Is it?
Yeah.
My children don't even think about getting married or making a commitment.
Yeah. My 2 of my girls aren't. Yeah. And also, 2 of them have children, but they don't want any more. And the youngest one doesn't really want any at all either. Isn't that interesting? There's a lot of young people like that they have no desire to bring. I don't know what that is, unless we just need to clean up our shit on this planet, and then maybe we can welcome children back on it, because it's not a good place for them right now. It really isn't.
Yeah.
The ones
I kind of give kudos to your youngest for understanding that there's a choice there. So many of us just do what we think we're supposed to do. We're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And I do think about
her age.
It's just
talking to her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to meditate and take care of yourself if you don't have a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just easier.
Yeah. I've always told my kids, when you start thinking about having a family, then get an animal first. And if you could take care of that animal, then you could start thinking about having children, because they take a lot of time and effort. And, you can't tie them to the backyard tree, or, you've got to, they're part of the family, So yeah, if you can take care of that animal, then you know that you'll be able to have a family.
Yes. Wise words, Mom.
Well, I try. But you're so right. I make points more with the people around them than I do with them directly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, another fun thing, if we have time, have you noticed more people are talking about dragons?
Yes. 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 Isn't that fun?
It's so fun. I have a dragon friend and she's a mom. And so she has a young one with her. And
Mm.
I just thought I think I posted something about, well, I think I'm gonna lose half of you here, but I'm gonna say it. I've got a dragon. And then I mean, hundreds of people are like, me too, and just all this dragon information coming forth.
Yeah. That and unicorns. Have you heard unicorns as well? Not as
I
big as
have
the
not.
dragons, but unicorns are coming. Yeah. I got my little to remind me. I have a little unicorn here.
Okay, to remind you.
Yeah. Little symbol there in case you forget or, bow off the wagon. Yeah. My youngest one actually
Yeah.
collects, she's got some beautiful dragons. She has them. Yeah. Well, we all go through phases. It's crystals. It's, all kinds of things. But yeah, it's all coming back. It's all kind of unearthing itself, for all of us. But I think it's all part of our past too. What we have, what we're bringing back in as well. It's we're birthing it as well.
Yeah, so true. Like,
Yeah.
maybe the first 5 months of my new life, I realized that I had a dream life that had been going on in my head somewhere in a corner for always. And that part of the dream included dancing. So I started to dance in my living room. I even moved furniture so that I had this wide open space to dance in. And I discovered that I loved to dance, and more kind of ecstatic dancing or temple dancing. Like I didn't know I was doing temple moves until I took a temple dancing class and went, oh, I do that. So I was just tapping in, right?
Right.
And then I discovered dancing naked and went, oh, talk about body integration, because I didn't love my body forever. And now I'm dancing naked in my living room, So, what kind of dreams do we harbor?
Yeah.
They're there for a reason. They're
Mhm.
there to pay attention to.
Mhm.
And, like my love of writing. Well, I can say I love to write, or I can sit down and write and love
Right.
writing,
Mhm.
So how many of us have something going on in here and we're like, yeah, someday. Well,
Mhm.
why not today? How could we
Today, yeah.
integrate that into now?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's part of the shift. That's an important part of the shift. The
Mhm.
more we express ourselves, the more we express our nature, our true nature, that's just going to help the
Mhm.
process along, the birthing
Yes.
process along.
Yeah. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't have the time." And it's like, well, what can you take off your plate that you don't really need to do, that you're doing, that does not fulfill you, that doesn't make you feel whole and complete, that you can shed so that you can put on your plate what it is that you want
Yes,
to do? Then you have the time, you know, because
yes,
there's only so many
yes.
hours in the day. So think about it, really consider it. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
do it for
that's it,
yourself.
Donna.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Well, this has been an extraordinary joy and delight. So thank you for doing
Been fun,
this.
Donna. Thank
Oh,
you.
totally. Yeah. And then if people want to get a hold of you for any reason, I mean, are you open to talking with them, or open for them to join you on your Facebook page so that they could have like a daily dose of bridge?
At this point, I have the Facebook, and if they look up Bridge McIntyre, McIntyre, and bridge, just like crossing over bridge, there's that. I am about to do all kinds of things online so that I will have a website and whatnot. Right now, I would say if somebody really wants to talk, wants some counsel and whatnot, I am doing that lightly, and they could email me at bridge.mcintyre@yahoo. They could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I will put those links down the bottom so that
Okay.
they can, because if they're like me, they'll misspell something, just by
Right.
sometimes phonetically, it's not spelled correctly. And then that way they can copy and paste. How's that? And I'd love to have you back on. I think you're just on the cusp of that. Whoa, big things, big things. And I'd like to be on the ground floor of your big things and kind of, see where you're going. That'll be fun. You inspire me as well.
Sounds great, Donna.
All right,
Thank you
great.
so much.
You are so
Okay,
welcome.
thank you, everyone.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed as well too. And if you did, then I have to do the obvious thing at the end is to say like, share, and be a part of the community, because then that way you'll get all the latest news before it happens, and then you can tune in, be the first to tune in and share, because you never know who might need to hear this. Maybe you heard a little bit, but maybe somebody really needs to hear this on a deeper level. So don't be afraid to share. All right. Thank you so very much. Take care.